From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather tonight.
Hey folks, good evening and happy Saturday. It's been a pretty nice start to our weekend. Today was still kind of, summer-like with those mid to upper 80s creeping in across the area. But tonight, that's where those heavy thunderstorms we've been talking about roll on through. I'd say from 10 to 2, that's where the bulk of it really kind of swings into the Tennessee Valley. Those chances start to taper off by sunrise or so. Notice those winds shifting back out of the west. So that front really comes through in a big, big way. Let's take a look at the futurecast. Next 24 hours, here we go. Over the next little bit, right? That's where we start to see the first showers creep in, but it's going to be maybe the next few hours. Let's call it 11 to 1 for the bulk of those heavy thunderstorms to roll on through here. Now, I'm seeing consistent signals that as this line moves through, we're kind of in that corridor where it's the weak last gasp of it, right? We're seeing those last pushes of updrafts moving on through. And I do say with some confidence that as it heads from 65 east, that's where it's going to really start to taper off, and the chances for severe weather really diminishes pretty quickly. So by the time we're heading through sunrise again, notice still some scattered showers across the area, but by 6, 7, 8, most of the heavy rain, that's already well off to our east. Those showers get out of here by the afternoon. A pretty nice second half of the day. You might even need a coat at times. I'm not saying a heavy coat. I'm not saying dress up in wool. But compared to the last few days, lower 60s by the time we're heading through the evening with winds out of the west at 15 miles an hour. Relatively speaking, that will feel pretty brisk. So definitely a big punch of fall coming through as that front moves in past this line of storms. Of course, the main thing we're watching with this line of storms through tonight, again, let's call it 11 to 1 for the heaviest rain for most of us. Maybe some isolated thunderstorm wind gusts, 45, 50, maybe up to 60 miles an hour in very isolated cases. We're not talking a major threat, but it is possible, right? We do want to keep an eye on that as it moves through, because those updrafts still do sustain themselves with a very brief tornado threat, for a very narrow window of time. I think that's where we'll see that chance, but I don't think it's a very major chance, right? We're not talking a tornado outbreak. Nothing like that at all. But of course, if there is anything like that, we'll let you know. We're always staffed in situations like this. Hail, very minimal threat, maybe up to Ps, but you usually see hail in supercells, and this is not a supercell type situation. This is a big line of storms moving through overnight. Flooding, well, maybe some localized street flooding, especially in lower spots and especially spots where the moisture really doesn't absorb so quickly, but otherwise, I think we're not going to see too much in the way of those chances either. All right, so next 7 days, very fall-like, a little mild, but actually doing really pretty nice. Notice those upper 60s and lower 70s for the next 7 days. I think we're just about done with 80s for the year. Here's hoping anyway. Of course, we could get some November randomness, right? But I really don't think the pattern supports that too much. Look at those 40s as well. We are really cooling down. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, a nice work week coming up here. Maybe a stray shower or two on Tuesday with a secondary front, but I don't expect any major impacts from that. Next weekend, I have seen signals for some more isolated thunderstorm activity. We'll get closer to that and get specific. Chances could go up, they could go down, but there is support for the idea that we could see more wetter weather in the extended term. But after we get through tonight, so through overnight tonight, we have a pretty nice work week on tap.